I still remember the smell of fresh paint the night. I parked my new car in the driveway. I stood there longer than necessary, just staring at it. The smooth body, the untouched tires. The quiet promise that all my years of struggle had finally turned into something real. That car wasn't luxury, it was proof. Proof that late nights, skipped celebrations, and saying no to myself again and again had meant something. I locked it twice before going inside. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in months. The next morning shattered everything. When I opened the front door, the air felt wrong. Too quiet. Too empty. My eyes went straight to the driveway. And my heart dropped so hard it felt like it cracked. The car was gone. For a few seconds, my brain refused to accept it. I blinked. I stepped forward. I even looked left and right like maybe the car had somehow moved itself. Nothing. The space where it stood was painfully empty. My hands started shaking. I checked my pockets, my bag, the table near the door. No keys. Fear rushed in fast, followed by anger, confusion, and disbelief. My first thought was theft. My second was worse, betrayal. I ran back inside, calling my parents. My mother was in the kitchen, calm as ever. Pouring tea like this was just another ordinary morning. My father sat on the couch with his newspaper, his glasses low on his nose. "Where is my car?" I asked, my voice already breaking. My mother didn't answer. My father folded his newspaper slowly. That silence screamed louder than any confession. I repeated the question. That's when my mother sighed and said the words that changed how I saw my family forever. "Your sister needed it." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because my mind couldn't process the disrespect. "You gave her my car." "She has children," my mother replied defensively. "You're single. You'll manage." Manage. That word had followed me my entire life. When money was tight, I would manage. When sacrifices were needed, I would manage. When dreams had to be delayed, I would manage. But this time, something inside me snapped. "That car isn't a toy," I said quietly. "I paid for it. Every single payment." My father finally spoke. "Family shares." I looked at him and realized something painful. Sharing only went one way in this house. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But instead, I went silent. Silence was safer. They told me my sister had taken the keys early in the morning. No call. No message. Just assumption. Just entitlement. As I walked back to my room, my legs felt heavy, not from exhaustion, but from understanding. This wasn't about love. It was about control. And they truly believed I wouldn't fight back. I didn't speak to my parents for the rest of that morning. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I was afraid of what might come out if I opened my mouth. Anger sat heavy in my chest, thick and burning, mixing with a deeper pain I had carried for years but never named. By noon, my phone buzzed. Her name flashed on the screen. My sister. I stared at it for a long moment before answering. "Wow," she said before I could even speak, her voice light, almost amused. "This car is amazing. You really outdid yourself." I closed my eyes. "You took my car without asking," I said slowly. She laughed. "Relax. Mom said it was fine." That sentence hurt more than anything else. Not she asked. Not you agreed. Just, it was fine. "Where are you?" I asked. "Out," she replied casually. "Running errands. Picking up the kids. You know. Real responsibilities." The implication was clear. My work. My effort. My sacrifice. None of it counted. "You'll bring it back today," I said. There was a pause on the line, just long enough for me to sense resistance forming. "We'll see," she said. "The kids are really enjoying it." Then she hung up. That was the moment humiliation replaced shock. It wasn't just that my car was gone. It was that my boundaries meant nothing. I sat on my bed, staring at the wall, replaying every moment from the past few years. Every time I helped her financially. Every time my parents asked me to compromise for peace. Every celebration where my achievements were quietly overshadowed by her needs. I realized something uncomfortable. They didn't think I was weak. They thought I was available. That evening, my parents called me into the living room. My father spoke first. "You shouldn't make this a big issue." I looked at him, stunned. "A big issue? You gave away something I worked years for." My mother folded her arms. "You're being dramatic. It's temporary. Temporary. Just like the temporary delays in my life. Just like the temporary sacrifices that somehow became permanent." "I want my keys back," I said firmly. My mother shook her head. "Don't be selfish." Selfish. The word echoed in my mind. I wanted to ask her how it wasn't selfish to take without asking. To assume without respect. To decide my worth without listening, but I already knew the answer. They didn't see me as someone who needed fairness. They saw me as someone who would eventually give in. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop, not out of anger, but clarity. For the first time, I stopped asking myself why they did this and started asking a different question. Why do they think they can? And as I reviewed documents, contracts, receipts, things I had quietly built over years, I felt something new rising. Not rage. Confidence. They had no idea how much power I actually held. They thought the car was the prize. They didn't know it was just the surface. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A message came in from an unknown number. I heard what happened, it read. "If you need proof, I have it." My heart skipped. I typed back slowly. "Proof of what?" 3 dots appeared. Then the reply came. "Of how your sister planned this. And how your parents agreed before you even bought the car." I stared at the screen, frozen. This wasn't impulsive. This was intentional. And suddenly, the story became much bigger than a missing car. I read that message again and again, my heart beating faster each time. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't poor judgment. This was planned. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I finally replied. "What proof?" The reply came almost instantly. Voice notes. Messages. Screenshots. Everything. My chest tightened. A part of me wanted to delete the conversation and pretend I never saw it. Proof changes things. Once you know the truth, you can never go back to innocence. "Send them," I typed. A few seconds later, my phone began to fill. First, a voice note. It was my sister's voice. Confident. Casual. Calculating. "She won't say anything," she said in the recording. "She never does. Just tell her I needed the car for a while. She'll complain, then she'll drop it." I felt sick. Another voice note followed. My mother's voice this time. "She works too much anyway," she said. "Let her learn to share." I sat there, staring at the screen, my hands numb. Then came messages. Screenshots of a group chat I wasn't part of. Dates. Times. Conversations that happened weeks before. I even bought the car. They knew. They knew before I signed the papers. Before I celebrated quietly by myself. Before I parked it proudly in the driveway. My sister had asked for the car in advance. And my parents had agreed. I closed the laptop and leaned back, my head against the wall. For years, I had blamed myself. I thought maybe I didn't communicate well. Maybe I expected too much. Maybe family really did mean sacrificing endlessly without question. But this wasn't love. This was entitlement dressed up as family. That afternoon, my sister posted photos online. Her children smiling inside my car. Her hand on the steering wheel. A caption that read, "Grateful for family. People commented with praise. I stared at the post for a long time, feeling a strange calm settle over me. She thought she had won. That was her mistake. That evening, my parents sat me down again. "We've been thinking," my father said, carefully. "You should let this go." My mother nodded. "You don't want to damage family relationships over material things." I looked at them and realized something terrifying. They genuinely believed they were right. Not guilty. Not ashamed. Just justified. "I agree," I said softly. They looked relieved. "I don't want to damage relationships," I continued. "Which is why I won't argue anymore." My sister smiled when she heard this. "See," she said. "I told you she'd calm down." I smiled back. They thought silence meant surrender. They didn't know silence was preparation. That night, I met the person who had sent the message. It was my cousin. Someone I had always helped quietly, without expecting anything back. "I couldn't watch this happen," she said. "It wasn't fair." She showed me everything. More recordings. More messages. A full timeline of how the plan came together. By the time she finished, I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. Because now I had evidence. And leverage. 2 days later, my sister called again. "You're okay without the car, right?" she asked. "We might need it longer." I took a deep breath. "Of course," I said calmly. "Take your time." She laughed. "See? I knew you'd understand." After the call ended, I opened my calendar and marked a date. The day I would stop being understanding. The day everything shifted started like any other family gathering. My mother insisted we all meet for dinner. She said it was time to clear the air. My sister arrived late, as usual, stepping out of my car like it belonged to her. Keys dangling. Confidence loud. Everyone noticed. No one said a word. I watched quietly. Dinner was noisy. Laughter. Small talk. Pretending. They were comfortable again, because they believed I had accepted my place. Halfway through the meal, my father raised his glass. "Family," he said proudly. "No matter what, we stand together." That was my moment. I didn't interrupt him. I didn't raise my voice. I simply stood up. "I agree," I said calmly. "Family stands together. Which is why I want us all to be honest tonight." The room went still. My sister shifted in her chair. "I recently learned something," I continued. "About the car." My mother's smile froze. "I was told it was taken because of an emergency," I said. "But that wasn't true." My sister laughed nervously. "Why are we doing this now?" "Because now," I replied, "everyone is here." I pulled out my phone. "I have voice notes," I said. Messages. Plans made weeks before I bought the car. My father's face drained of color. "Don't," my mother whispered. But it was too late. I played the first recording. My sister's voice filled the room. "She won't say anything. She never does." Silence followed, thick and heavy. Then my mother's voice played. "She works too much anyway. Let her learn to share." My aunt dropped her fork. My uncle leaned back slowly. My sister stood up. "This is private," she snapped. "You had no right." "Oh, I had every right," I said quietly. "It's my car. My money. My life." My father slammed his hand on the table. "Enough." I turned to him. "You knew," I said. "And you approved." He didn't deny it. That hurt more than anything else. The room erupted. Arguments. Accusations. Shock. My sister cried, loudly, dramatically. "She's trying to destroy the family," she shouted. I looked at her, truly looked. "No," I said. "I'm refusing to let it destroy me." Then I did something they didn't expect. I reached into my bag and placed documents on the table. Car registration. Insurance. Ownership papers. All in my name, I said. Which means taking it without permission is theft. The word hit hard. The room went silent again. You wouldn't, my mother said. I already have, I replied. I showed them the police report number. Not filed yet. Prepared. Waiting. My sister's confidence cracked. You said she wouldn't do anything, she hissed at my parents. They had no answer. That's when my father finally spoke. Give the car back, he said. But it wasn't authority anymore. It was desperation. That night, my sister returned the car. Not proudly. Not loudly. She left the keys on the doorstep and drove away in silence. But the damage was done. Because the family now knew something else too. I wasn't weak. I was patient. The house felt different after that night. Quiet. Not peaceful, just empty. No calls. No messages. No family group chats lighting up my phone. For the first time in my life, I wasn't being chased by expectations. And that scared them more than it scared me. 3 days later, my father showed up at my door. Alone. No lectures. No anger. Just tired eyes and a man who had lost control of the story. He thought he was writing. I didn't raise you to threaten us, he said. I looked at him calmly. You raised me to be silent, I replied. I taught myself how to speak. He sat down slowly, like the weight of that sentence finally landed. He tried to explain. How my sister was sensitive. How she needed more support. How I was stronger and therefore expected to bend. I let him talk. Then I said something that ended the conversation. Strength isn't permission to be used. He didn't argue. Because he knew it was true. That same evening, my sister posted a photo online. Smiling. Captioned like nothing had happened. But the comments told another story. People asking why the car was gone. Why she was suddenly taking taxis. Why she moved back home. The truth has a way of leaking. Even when you try to bury it. A week later, my mother called. Her voice wasn't angry. It was wounded. You embarrassed us, she said. I took a breath. No, I answered softly. You embarrassed yourselves. I just stopped covering it. Silence. Then she said something I'll never forget. We didn't think you'd ever leave us. That was the twist. They weren't afraid of losing the car. They weren't afraid of the police. They were afraid of losing control over me. I didn't cut them off completely. But I changed the rules. No borrowing without permission. No decisions made for me. No using my silence as agreement. Some family members adjusted. Some didn't. My sister moved out 2 months later. Not because she wanted independence. Because she couldn't stand living in a house where she wasn't the favorite anymore. And the car. I still drive it. But it means something different now. It's not just metal and wheels. It's proof. Proof that boundaries are louder than arguments. Proof that patience isn't weakness. Proof that sometimes, the moment you stop accepting less, everything changes. Last month, I parked that car outside my parents' house. Walked in. Sat at the same table where they once decided my life without me. And I said one sentence. I love you, but I will never disappear for your comfort again. No one argued. Because this time, they believed me.